Candace Owens is getting crazier each and every day. And it's really a shame. You know, when you look at conservative influencers, right? If you want to, like, I'm not into that influencer term, but you know what I mean. If you look at conservative influencers, Candace Owens, I know a lot of people will take issue with this statement, but Candace Owens was really the first major influential, super influential conservative influencer online in the MAGA movement. And she was a powerhouse. She was truly influencing people. She had her national tour where she was encouraging and leading blacks away from the Democrat Party to the Trump MAGA Republican Party. She was going to college campuses, and when she'd go there, everyone was gravitating around her. Everyone was talking about her. She was with Turning Point. She left Turning Point, and then she ended up with the Daily Wire. And she was really a strong, influential person who, if she had not lost it over the last couple of years, very well would have been working inside the White House in this second Trump term. But she messed everything up. It started before this anti-Israel thing that she's got going on started. She was going against Trump a year or so ago, and she said some things about Trump, and she told this story about how she gave some advice to Trump, and he didn't take the advice, and it was very bizarre. And what she's been doing lately is this anti-Israel thing she's doing has had a snowball effect. She gets deeper and deeper into it all the time. She's even gotten into Holocaust denial a couple of times, and it's really sad. It's also scary that someone that was so influential in our MAGA movement, did she always think this way? Is this how she always felt? I was watching her the other day. She did say that she used to defend Israel until she, I guess, learned the truth, whatever that means. But it's disturbing, but it's also sad at the same time. So she's done a couple of things that are just completely nuts lately, and a lot of people are talking about her now. And these unhinged anti-Israeli, anti-Semitic rants that she's been going on, and people are really starting to talk about it. And she did something yesterday offering this $10,000 reward. Let me play this audio. Here's Candace Owens. This is yesterday.
That somebody reached out to me, someone that I trust very much, and said, Candace, just want you to know, we're on opposite sides of this thing, but there's money behind this pro-Israel movement. Billionaires and Israeli billionaires reached out, asked so-and-so to make a video that is pro-Israel. And then an influencer reached out and said that people are being offered money to make anti-Candace and anti-Tucker videos, up to $1,000 for a micro influencer. That's a lot of money. This person has got to have a lot of money, whoever's behind this. And so today we did something because we're so interested, is we put a bounty out, $10,000 for an influencer that got paid, a micro influencer. Don't care if you're micro. You email tips@CandaceOwens.com and show us the concrete email of who paid you to make a video about me and Tucker and to say that we must be funded by Qatar, because that's the disinformation campaign that's happening right now. And we'll give you $10K, no questions asked. I don't care if you already made the video. We will not ever reveal your name. You can go on and live your life. Okay? Promise that.
Okay. Now, this thing about Qatar funding Candace Owens and Tucker, I've not heard anyone say that about Candace. Laura Loomer last week did some reporting talking about Tucker Carlson getting money from Qatar, and I did hear that, and I did talk about that on a recent podcast episode. I've not heard it about her. Now, that was yesterday. Now, as of the moment that I am speaking to you right now, I haven't seen anything so far as proof. And if this was happening with small influencers that would do something like that for $1,000, certainly they would answer her call to get the $10,000 reward. And if that's happened, I haven't seen it posted online yet. And if it has happened, I do want to see it. I don't think people should be making videos or uploading podcasts, giving opinions on things, because people have paid them for those opinions on people or on political issues, because we don't want that to happen. Although there's been a lot of talk lately of different people getting paid for opinions, and usually when those things come out, or when most people are talking about them, except in the instance of Laura Loomer, because Laura Loomer, her reporting is always 100% accurate, and she does not report anything where she does not have some well-sourced information backing it up. And she had a lot of details. If you go back to her podcast, and I did go over some of it on my podcast a few episodes back before this one, she had some names and sourcing and everything that she went through about the Tucker Carlson thing. I've not heard anything about Candace. But usually when people start saying that except in this instance with Loomer and Tucker, but when most people are talking about someone getting paid for their opinions on issues, oftentimes that's believed by people because someone is coming out taking a position that is so out of the normal for what they would normally do or say. And I think that might be some of the talk with Candace, because Candace Owens' position on Israel, a lot of it's really sick stuff she's been saying. And I had someone that I know sent me a text yesterday. They were watching Candace Owens on Piers Morgan, and they said, she's the biggest anti-Semite I've ever heard. I didn't see that show, but they were like shocked. And they said, now I know what you're talking about, Brian, because I've heard you mention this a few times. And yeah, I mean, she's out there saying some crazy stuff. And when people start taking positions publicly that are so out of character for what they're known for, people start saying things like, oh, are they getting paid? You know, somebody must be paying them. They're getting paid by, Muslims. They're getting paid by Israel. You know, all this kind of stuff goes on. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen. You know, there was that scandal with some of the conservative influencers last year. Remember Dave Rubin and others with that group of influencers that was getting paid unknowingly by some people that had some strange foreign connections. So things like that do happen unknowingly and knowingly sometimes. But I find it hard to believe that people are getting paid $1,000 to make a video about Candace Owens. It seems that there's enough people talking about Candace Owens for free. Why would somebody pay smaller influencers to do that? And some bigger people have talked about her this week doing it. I've done a few shows here and there on it too, and mostly, you know, I'm a strong supporter of Israel. Okay, that doesn't mean I always agree. And Netanyahu really has been disrespectful to President Trump this week with the disaster with the ceasefire, which the president said today in Europe that the ceasefire is on, and he was talking about it, so I guess we're back, although there's going to be skirmishes. I mean, you know, who knows if this ceasefire is going to last long. You know, it didn't do well in those first 12 hours, did it? But there was some betrayal by Netanyahu. But that doesn't mean, you know, we have leaders sometimes in this country that we don't like Biden, who's corrupt and did all those terrible things. That doesn't mean that we, you know, don't support America because we don't support who the sitting president is. I didn't support Obama. I didn't support Biden or Clinton and a whole bunch of presidents. But with Netanyahu, I've always liked Netanyahu, supported Netanyahu. I do support Israel, but I really did not appreciate the way he disrespected President Trump with that bombing that he was starting to do after the ceasefire agreement was announced by the president. But anyway, with that being said, there's enough people that are talking about Candace Owens anyway. I don't see why they would have to pay people to do it. So this $10,000 reward, if what she's alleging and what she's heard is true, I would imagine these people would be coming forward with the emails, just because if they would make a video like that for $1,000, certainly they would give her the proof for $10,000. Although they may have confidentiality agreements which forbids them from doing it, but people that are taking money to do something like that, such a small amount of money, $1,000, I don't think they would let that confidentiality agreement or anything they signed, if they signed anything, stop them from doing something they could get 10 grand in their pocket just like that. And she says she'll keep it anonymous, so I'd be very curious to see. But here we are the next day. We still haven't seen anything as of the time I'm speaking. Now, 5 minutes after I upload this show, maybe she could produce the receipts, but I haven't seen it yet. But she's really been, when I say she's been losing it, this is something. This was nuts. This just shocked me when I heard Candace Owens say this. She's encouraging people that are in the United States military to commit a crime here and get themselves dishonorably discharged. Now, here she is. She's responding to a question from one of her viewers.
LG19 writes, serious question, will there be jobs or community military members can join when I get a dishonorable discharge for not contributing to delete people or my body for the interests of a certain foreign nation benefit? I love this question.
Now, the foreign nation benefit, of course, is Israel.
I do believe that if war in Iran is on the agenda, and that appears so, get dishonorably discharged. Who cares? Who cares? Why should you go die in a foreign land? You now have the benefit of 2020. You can see, think about those men and those women who died because they were pitched that they were serving their country because there were weapons of mass destruction, right? They were serving their country because the Taliban, they were serving their country, whatever, and these people gave up their lives. And ask yourselves, for what? And the answer to that question is for the elites. They're like toy soldiers. And I would have said a few weeks ago that Trump would never do that to you. He would never just throw you into an Israeli war. But right now, our planes are flying in the sky, and things are going nuclear. So I don't have that confidence anymore. And I'm comfortable with people being dishonorably discharged because the dishonor has come from our politicians. The dishonor has come from our politicians who routinely lie in our faces and are willing to let us die to serve their financial interests. So why don't they dishonorably discharge themselves from public office?
Okay. Now, I don't know how well that aged since President Trump sent in these bombers with the bunker busters, and we don't have any troops going in. There's no troop buildup, and he seems to have done a pretty good job, although the pilots did risk their lives doing that. We didn't get any casualties, and it looks like military operations between the United States and Iran are now over, at least for now. But encouraging people to get dishonorably discharged, to get dishonorably discharged, you really have to commit a crime, like a felony in the military, and just to get yourself discharged under some type of false pretense, which you would have to do because we're not sending troops in the battle, so you're not disobeying an order because you're not refusing to deploy somewhere, right? So you would have to commit some crime to get dishonorably discharged to get out, and that once you're dishonorably discharged, you don't get your might have to go to jail. You might have to go to military jail for the crime you've committed. And if you got yourself dishonorably discharged on purpose, that's got to be some type of crime within itself to get out of service. So you're going to have to do some kind of time in military prison, and then you're dishonorably discharged, right? So you're a convicted criminal. For the rest of your life, you're a convicted criminal. You've been dishonorably discharged, which means you get no veterans benefits. Also, every job application asks if you've ever been dishonorably discharged from the military. You have to answer yes to that. If you lie, they're going to find out. You're going to lose your job. You know, that's a hardcore thing. Now, I'd like to think that she didn't know what she was saying about getting dishonorably discharged. Maybe Candace Owens didn't know the seriousness of that. But, you know, the thing about Candace Owens that I'm curious to know, was she always this way? Are these the beliefs she always had and hid them from all of us when she came into her superstardom time? Because she was such a mover and shaker in conservative circles and someone that was going place. I said at the beginning that if she had not done this, she might find herself working in the Trump White House in this second term. And I don't think that's far-fetched. She could have been the press secretary. She was really good on these shows. It's a different kind of fall. But we've lost other people like Ann Coulter. Ann Coulter used to be such a great conservative spokesperson. She became a never-Trumper, and we lost her as a great spokesman. I know every once in a while she sticks her head out and says something, and sometimes it's pro-Trump, but she's not the important mover and shaker and influencer that she was, and either is Candace Owens. Are you not sleeping at night? Well, it's probably because you're not sleeping on a MyPillow, and with this incredible new special that Mike Lindell is offering, you got to get your MyPillow. In fact, not only should you get a MyPillow for yourself, you should, if you already have one, get them for all of the beds in your house. Get them for your friends. Get them for your families. This is an incredibly low price. Right now, with our promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E, you can get a MyPillow for just $17.98. The first one I have, I got it 10 years ago. I still sleep on it. I paid $65 for it. Now you can get the same pillow with that patented fill for just $17.98. That's with our promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E. You see why I'm so well rested? Because I sleep on the MyPillow each and every night. You can also order by phone, toll free, 1-800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879. Promo code KANE, K-A-N-E. Call or go to the website right now. Use our promo code and stock up. This is a very good deal. It won't last, so take advantage of it. $17.98 for a MyPillow with our promo code KANE. What a deal. Order yours right now. And, you know, when she first started on this anti-Israel wave, I talked to a friend of mine who was really shocked by it, who's Jewish and Israeli. He's Israeli and Jewish. He lives here in the United States. And I was talking to him about her because he had heard some of the things she said. Because he'd, like me and many of you out there, used to be a big fan of hers and always listened to her and really enjoyed her going back and forth with people. And I told him, I said, you know, I've seen people on different issues in the world of broadcasting over the years. They get involved in an issue and they get a spike in popularity from it because there's an audience for what she's doing, right? There is an audience for what she's doing, and she's going to get a lot of positive feedback from these anti-Semite types, and it's going to increase her views and all of that. And what happens with people when they have that experience, they get deeper into that issue. And I said she's going to get deeper into it. And then she got into a little bit of Holocaust denial and the USS Liberty, which was, she even had a crewman from the USS Liberty on her show. And, you know, once you go down that rabbit hole, you never stop going down. Always chasing, I've seen people do this on so many issues over the years in broadcasting. And, it's really sad. It really is. I used to enjoy her program and listen to what she had to say, and now it's ugly. I saw a little bit of one of her shows the other day, and she was talking about those who support Israel today and what's going on have Holocaust guilt. I don't have Holocaust guilt, you know, but it was a shame. You know, here's the thing about Israel. There is, in this country today, it's really sad how much anti-Semitism I see. We had pretty much eradicated anti-Semitism in this country, and it's so mainstream. And sadly, I hear it from conservatives like Candace sometimes. And I'm conservative, I'm MAGA, I'm Republican, I'm MAGA for life, right? Proudly so. And we're so blessed to have President Trump back in this second term, aren't we? I mean, it's just amazing. And but Israel exists, not just because God gave the land of Israel to the Jews. That's, of course, the primary reason. But the reason that Israel was established in 1948, you know this, it was because of the Holocaust, no doubt. You know, before the Holocaust happened and the Nazis came to power and started oppressing Jews, and Jews were fleeing Europe. And then as the Holocaust began, they were fleeing in even larger numbers as the German army swept through Europe, and no one would take them in. Even the United States, President Roosevelt would not take them in. And when the war was over and the world saw what happened with the Holocaust, most people in the world did not know. We didn't have mass media like we have now. The U.S. government and the Allies knew about a lot of it, kept it secret from people because they thought it would interfere with the war goals. This has been talked about. Franklin Roosevelt was an anti-Semite. There's no doubt about it. He was also a hardcore racist, and if you're not sure about that, Franklin Roosevelt refused to support federal anti-lynching legislation. Members of the Senate went to him. They wanted to pass federal anti-lynching laws, and he refused to support that. The New Deal excluded pretty much blacks from the entire New Deal. So he was a hardcore racist and an anti-Semite. Typical Democrat, especially then, but even today, really, if you see what's going on. And because no one would take the Jews in 1948, the United Nations, with the winners of the war, established the land of Israel so that the Holocaust would not happen again. So Jews had a place to go. And I'm telling you, anti-Semitism has risen so much in this country. I'm in Florida, okay? I live in Florida. I've lived in Florida almost my entire life since I was 11 years old, and I'm in my 50s now. My wife was born in Florida, and of course my daughter was too. So we have a large Jewish population in Florida. And when I was a kid, we had a lot of Holocaust survivors who were still alive that were retired down here. But I personally know Jews that tell me they're afraid because of this rise of anti-Semitism that's going on in this country. And believe me, it is rising. I've never seen anything like this. And it's important to talk about these things. It's not about this moment in time with this Iranian-Israeli war that the president said today is over. There's a bigger picture than just that, okay? And the never forget, it seems that people have forgotten. A lot of the rise in the anti-Semitism in this country. I know this will sound ridiculous to some people, but I think this has something to do with it. Young people, when I say young people, I'm talking about millennials and younger, okay? Millennials are like middle-aged now. AOC and Mayor Pete are millennials. Millennials on down, you have a population that has more college graduates in it than any of the previous generations, and they have gone to college during this very, even though they may not realize it, this very woke, liberal Obama era, because he was president during a big part of their youth, and they've learned a lot of this anti-Semitism that they don't even believe is anti-Semitism just through their education system. And also, in the last couple of years, there's a lot of comparison, which is completely insane, that American support of Israel is the same as the support that we've had for Ukraine. This war in Ukraine was a total fake thing that the military-industrial complex and the permanent Washington class with Biden's auto pen presidency made happen to make money. Okay, that's not what's going on with Israel. I do believe that humanity has a moral obligation to support Israel. Now, again, that does not mean that they're always right. The way that Netanyahu disrespected the president with this ceasefire this week, that pissed me off, and I'm not alone in that. Pissed off the president. You saw him drop the F-bomb, okay? But we have a moral obligation as humans, especially here in the West, Western civilization, to support Israel because, if you go back and you know your World War II history, there was a lot of fighting in North Africa, the British and Rommel, and we were in North Africa too, right, a little bit. The Germans didn't have to really, and of course those northern African countries were colonies of the European nations, but they were welcomed in by the natives that are the Muslim countries of today, right? These Muslim countries used to be European colonies, and they were welcomed in by the Muslims. The Muslims in the Middle East feel about the Israelis the same way that the Nazis felt about the Jews, okay? And it is important that we support them. You look at that map of the Middle East. It's amazing how tiny Israel is. I was watching when on Saturday night, when on Fox News, when they were going through the bombing of the nuclear facility, and they were showing the map of the Middle East. You could hardly see Israel on the map. It's so tiny. And out of all of the Middle East, they have nice beaches. in Israel, but they don't have, it's a tiny little piece of land, and they don't have these resources that the rest of the Middle East have. They just don't, like oil and other natural resources. And so why do they want this little tiny piece of land? It's not that they want the land. They just don't want Jews around. That's it. So anyway, I'm going to keep my eye out, and you should too. If people come forward to take this $10,000 reward from Candace Owens, okay, to prove that and show these emails that they've gotten, that they've been paid by organizations to make videos or podcasts or say and do things on social media to go after Candace Owens, I want to know about that, because I don't agree with that. I don't think people should be taking money to be making videos or podcasts or TikToks or anything about anyone. You know, I give my opinions on the program, right or wrong. If you agree or I think I'm right because they're my opinions, if you agree or disagree. But I don't think people should be getting paid for their opinions on things about politics, news, the issues, or individuals like Candace Owens. That's wrong. And even though I'm very disappointed in her, even disgusted at a lot of the times by the things she's saying, it is America. We have our First Amendment. And if people are being paid to bash her or Tucker, if they're being paid specifically for that, like she is alleging Candace Owens, I want to know about it. And I want to know who's paying them. Don't you? We'll take a quick break and be right back. Now, if you'd like to support the program, become a Patreon supporter. If you're a Patreon supporter, you have access to commercial-free editions of each and every podcast episode. And since I have upgraded the podcast to have a video version of the Brian Craig Show podcast, the audio version is still on all the podcast platforms, guys. But on YouTube and YouTube Music, I upload the video version. And Patreon supporters, not only do you have access exclusively as a Patreon supporter to commercial-free editions of the Brian Craig Show podcast, you get a commercial-free video version of it, completely commercial-free if you're a Patreon supporter. If you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of this and every episode on whatever platform you're listening to us on. And if you're one of our top Patreon supporters, you get a live on-air shout-out on each episode. Your name is in the description of the podcast episodes, and on YouTube and YouTube Music, your name as a top Patreon supporter appears on the screen while I go through the names like I'm about to do. So the following names are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, Pamela, Nick, Wesley, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Alice, LeeZep, Shawna, George, Brandon, John, Frank, Dale, David, Laura, Rob, and SFjr. These are our top Patreon supporters. If you want your name on the screen and in the description, or you want to get those commercial-free editions of the podcast, go into the description of this episode. On whatever platform you're on, go to my Patreon page and become a Patreon supporter. Are you looking for a podcast to listen to on your way to and home from work, and even with your significant other? Then add Life in Black and White and all the shades in between to your podcast playlist. On Life in Black and White, host Ivana and Yao, an interracial couple raising 3 boys, share the highs, lows, and everything in between, with real-life discussions on parenting, relationships, race, and making the world a better place. Life in Black and White is real talk with expert guests and topics that hit home, like discipline that works, navigating career changes, and finding connection over correction. Life in Black and White is the podcast for anyone who's looking for thoughtful conversations and practical advice. Listen now on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and wherever you get your podcast. Learn more at thepocus.com. That's POKUS. Life in Black and White and all the shades in between. Tune in right now. Let TripWalt, the smart trip planner app, handle everything for you. TripWalt is a revolutionary travel app that creates personalized itineraries in just seconds. No more endless searches, no more guesswork, just your perfect trip, curated to match your interest. With TripWalt, you'll discover hidden gems you never would have found before. Discover authentic local experiences and get smart recommendations tailored just for you. Whether you're dreaming of a weekend getaway or a bucket list journey, TripWalt turns
turns travel planning into effortless excitement. It's easy to use, too. Just tell TripWalt what you want, get your itinerary, and start exploring. Are you ready to transform how you travel? Download TripWalt right now in the Apple App Store. Available soon for Android. TripWalt, the smart trip planner. If you're in business, you know that first impressions are crucial. Your business deserves a website that stands out. With nearly 20 years of experience, ProWeaver is your trusted partner for professional custom design websites that are built to elevate your brand. ProWeaver doesn't use generic templates, just fully responsive, user-friendly custom websites that are tailored to you and the needs of your business. And the best part, ProWeaver delivers in just 3 to 5 days. That's lightning speed compared to competitors who take weeks. ProWeaver handles everything for you. Logo design to e-commerce solutions, SEO, and social media setup. They'll help you launch, grow, and dominate online, all at an affordable price. Don't wait. Get your custom website right now. Visit ProWeaver.com or call them directly toll-free 877-216-0852. 877-216-0852. ProWeaver.com. Affordable, dependable, fast. Step into history and follow the path of true courage. Operation Anthropoid was one of World War II's boldest resistance missions, the assassination of Nazi leader Reinhard Heydrich. Now you can walk in the footsteps of those who risked everything for our freedom. Operation Anthropoid Tours offers immersive private journeys through Prague and the rest of the Czech Republic and beyond. When you visit key World War II resistance sites, you'll hear untold stories and see where history was made. From secret meeting points to powerful memorials, these custom-made tours bring the past to life. You'll experience the bravery, the sacrifice, and the legacy of the Czechoslovak resistance. Discover the story. Book your private tour right now at OperationAnthropoidTours.com. That's OperationAnthropoidTours.com, and take an unforgettable journey through history.
Carrie Lake. I miss Carrie Lake. Don't you guys miss Carrie Lake? We haven't seen her too much lately. And she sent off a warning during a hearing today that was hilarious. So she's in this hearing. And let me ask you guys, would you like to see her as the White House press secretary more so than Caroline Leavitt? Caroline Leavitt does a great job. Caroline Leavitt's awesome. But would Carrie Lake be better? Well, let me play this clip from today and you let me know. This was awesome. So she's in this congressional hearing. You know, and these congressional hearings they do, they're so stupid because what happens is the witness, they're not allowed to talk. And she got more out than most people get, but they ask you these bizarre questions. You try to respond, and then they say, reclaiming my time, and don't let you respond to their accusations. But she got this guy good, Carrie Lake. Now, she's talking to a Democrat congressman, Greg Stanton, and he was getting ready to go after her because she's Carrie Lake, right? The Democrats hate Carrie Lake. And she stopped him in his tracks. Watch.
What the editorial content is, and I would hope that you would not be okay with that. They could literally put out a lie about anybody here. And I know you've been the victim of that. I know you've been the victim. I remember the stories about you where they said you had a gay lover, and those were going out all
Chairman.
over.
Chairman.
I
hope you honor what you just gave as a...
Oh my goodness. And, you know, Carrie Lake, you know, which I'll play the whole thing uninterrupted the next time I play it. But would you like to see her as White House press spokesperson? Oh my goodness, she'd be so awesome. Those reporters would be so free. What she did here, this is a preemptive. This is a warning. And she's telling this Democrat before he goes after her, she drops this as a warning and that things would get worse if he gives her a hard time. I'll play the whole thing uninterrupted, but this is the best.
What the editorial content is, and I would hope that you would not be okay with that. They could literally put out a lie about anybody here. And I know you've been the victim of that. I know you've been the victim. I remember the stories about you where they said you had a gay lover, and those were going out all
Chairman.
over.
Chairman.
Can I
hope you honor what you just gave as a caution to everyone, and I moved those words.
To tell you that those kind of lies, and you said those were lies, Those kind of lies could be broadcast today on VOA, and you couldn't
Voice
pick
America.
up the phone, Representative Stanton, and call them and say, hey, you're putting out lies about me. You would not be able to do that because they would sue you for breaking the firewall.
Wow. I mean, so you don't want to go up against. Yeah, Carrie Lake is very good. Okay, she's very good, and you don't want to go up against Carrie Lake. I mean, you know, she'll tear you down right at the knees, and you won't even have a. That was hilarious, and she does it with a straight face. If she were doing those White House press briefings, there's only so many jobs to go around. So Trump was running out of jobs, but that White House press secretary job. You know, chances are Carolyn Leavitt won't be there for the whole term, right? She might be, but maybe she won't. They last a year, 2 years. I think it'd be good to see her as the press secretary, just maybe for a week even. Like if Caroline Leavitt goes on vacation or gets pregnant and goes on maternity leave or something, Carrie Lake comes and fills in for a while. That would be beautiful. That would be the best. I mean, that would be. Oh, my God. It'd be the most watched thing on television. People would change their schedules just to be able to watch the live White House press briefings with Carolyn Leavitt. And she's so, I mean, with Carrie Lake, and she's just so good. I mean, and you heard that screaming going on. Okay, now I want to talk a little bit about this mayoral race in New York. I did an entire show on this morning, so I'm not going to go through everything now. But this Mom Donnie guy, or Mom Danny, however you say his name, I don't know. This is very bad. It's very bad, and he ran an incredible campaign. Don't get me wrong. His campaign was just beautifully done. I mean, he's a very bad guy. But the chances are almost certain that he's going to be the next mayor of New York City. And this guy is bad news. You know, he calls himself a democratic socialist. And here's the thing about democratic socialists. Democratic socialism is communism. They just know that Americans will not accept communism openly, or even open socialism. So they add democratic to it to make it more acceptable to even American leftists who won't go so far as openly admitting they're communist. And, you know, Cuomo lost this race for a number of reasons. One was arrogance, because he was the governor and his dad was a big deal, Mario Cuomo, and he had this entitlement mentality. Another part of it, so there was a lot of arrogance, assuming a win. Also, when I say that this Zohan guy ran a masterful campaign, he's got the same people running his campaign that were running AOC's. You can tell by the style. He has the top campaign professionals in the world working on his campaign. These evildoers want the mayor's office of New York City under their control, because they know that'll be a big domino falling in this country so far as what direction the United States and American civilization takes. New York City has always been liberal, but this is different. Okay, this is different. So he has top campaign people working on his campaign, and the average age of New Yorkers today is really young, and he's got the youth on his side. It's a Democrat town, and you know, Governor Cuomo, another mistake he made is, other than his arrogance and feelings of entitlement, is the people running his campaign are these old Clintonista types that are running campaigns from the 90s and early 2000s before there was social media, and they're running these old-style campaigns going up against a modern tech campaign that's very sharp, very ingenious. Just like AOC's original campaign. Her first campaign was very well done. Now they don't do it so much because they don't need to. They figure they got her legacied in. But this guy becoming the mayor of New York City is almost inevitable. I mean, the Republican is Curtis Sliwa. He's got the nomination for the Republicans. He ran in the Republican primary unopposed. And we all know Curtis Sliwa and the Guardian Angels, but he's not a credible candidate. Mayor Adams is running for re-election as an independent. He's got a lot of scandal. He went on Fox today and looked terrified, Mayor Adams, to me. And I saw this article that I pulled up here that's in Politico. Republicans are racing to make Jogn the face of the Democrat Party. I mean, you know, when something bad happens, like this guy winning the Democrat primary for mayor of New York, I mean, it's happened. What can we do as Republicans other than, you know, take something terrible that's happened and see what we can do out of it? And yeah, I think that making him the face of the party may not be a bad idea, but it may be a bad idea. And, you know, listen, I was on the air live on 9/11, and I asked this question today, and I'm going to ask it live on the show today. And I took calls about this. I'm going to ask you now, and let me know in the comments your thoughts on what I'm going to ask you right now. If I would have gone on the air on September 12th, 2001, and told you that in 2025, New York City was going to elect a Muslim to be the mayor of New York City, you would have thought I was nuts. You would have thought I was nuts. And now look, and things are, you know, you never underestimate the stupidity of Democrats. There are two major unions in the city of New York that their opinion is an endorsement is very, very important. And I'm talking about the New York City Fire Department and the New York City Police Department. I'm talking, and their unions. It would not surprise me that these firefighters who have the Twin Tower patches and on their uniforms and on their trucks and everything else, that the Fire Department Union of New York City and the Police Union, it would not surprise me if they endorse him in the general election because he's a Democrat. And many of these people in the union are the sons and daughters, maybe at this point, 24 years later, even grandchildren of firefighters and police officers who were lost on 9/11. And what I realized today when I was going through a lot of the coverage of this mayoral race in New York City is that, you know, this September will be 24 years since 9/11, that we have a generation of people in New York, a large number of them, that just 9/11 doesn't mean anything to them. Either they weren't alive or they were too young, and they don't understand what that was like. And I'm here to tell you it was a frightening time. And in fact, the most frightening time of the last 30 years, followed by when the Never-Trumpers shot the president in Butler, okay? It was a frightening time. And, you know, on 9/11, when those buildings were hit, when the World Trade Center towers were hit, we didn't know what was coming. You know, we didn't know if we were going to have a week of attacks, if the whole country was going to be attacked like New York City was. We didn't know. It was frightening. And New York City came with this very powerful never forget with 9/11. And Jogn here winning the Democrat primary for mayor of New York City, beating Governor Cuomo. It seems to me they have forgotten or they have no knowledge of it. And I was really disgusted at Governor Cuomo. I mean, it's hard not to be disgusted at Governor Cuomo. I mean, he's just a liberal jerk. But he came out and basically endorsed this guy that beat him in the primary last night. And what we really need is a circling of the wagons. We need Republicans and Democrats to join together against him and support Mayor Adams. And it pains me to support Mayor Adams, although he's done some good things with the illegals, but that was just to save himself because he knew he was facing trouble. But as bad as Mayor Adams is, I mean, New York City would be better off with Dinkins. As bad as Dinkins was, it'd be better off to have a Dinkins type than to have this guy. And one thing I found out about him today that was really disturbing is that his father is a professor at Columbia University, and he teaches some type of anti-colonialism course at Columbia University. And Columbia University, which should be shut down completely, Columbia University, they just got that Mahmoud guy they let out of jail, who's working for Iran, organizing for the terrorist in Gaza, the Hamas terrorists. Columbia University, the only purpose that Columbia University serves in this country today is to radicalize young people, turn them into anti-Israeli, anti-Semitic, anti-American radical activists. Nothing good comes out of Columbia University. Not only should their funding be cut, the entire school should be shut down permanently. It is. I think Columbia is a threat to the United States. There's all this talk after the bombings in Iran of sleeper cells in this country. Columbia University is a cell, isn't it? With what's going on out there, and he's got that connection through his father there. This is really bad. This is really, really bad. And that Mahmoud that they just let out of jail, the organizer that AOC escorted back to New York City, if Zohan here becomes mayor and he's like, unless something dramatic happens, like some big scandal comes out about him, which is not likely at his age. He's young. He's 33, so what could he have done that's scandalous, right? And even if it did, would it matter to these Democrats? He's going to be the mayor. And this Mahmoud probably will have a job at a senior level on his staff when he becomes mayor. This is bad, bad news. It does not get worse than this. And a lot of people are making a joke about it. It is not a joke. It is as serious as a heart attack, and I hope that a lot of people cover this. He's talking about if Netanyahu visits New York City, that he'll have him arrested by the NYPD. What? Another thing he's got going for him, he's offering free everything, free bus fare, raise the minimum wage to $30, free everything. And a lot of people like free stuff. And he won that primary not by a lot, by tens of thousands of votes against Andrew Cuomo, who was the governor, and everybody. He's a household name in New York, and he beat him by tens of thousands of votes. Mayor Adams, he's it's really hopeless. But I'm not giving up. I'm going to cover this story all the way through the election, and I hope a lot of other people do. It is that important. My name is Brian Craig. We'll take a break and be right back. Dr. Appleton and his laser wave pain treatment. I think about what my life would be like all the time if I never met Dr. Appleton and took advantage of his laser wave pain treatment. He's rid me of pain 7 times with his laser treatment, and I'd still have those pains, right? Those times I fell off my skateboard still would have happened and busted my shoulders, the arthritis, my knee pain, all that. I'd be suffering so much right now, or I'd be a junkie on a bunch of pain pills. That's not good. His laser wave pain treatment works on every type of pain I've ever heard of. You've heard me talk about this quite a bit. And I was just talking to Dr. Appleton, and he brought to my attention, and I did not realize this, but, the laser treatment works on injuries and pains that you're suffering from car accidents or slip and fall accidents. And I realized when I fell off my skateboard those couple times, those were accidents, right? I slipped off the skateboard and fell. If you've fallen at home, fallen out in public, or gotten into a car accident, go see Dr. Appleton. I was in a really bad car accident, years ago, and my car got totaled. A girl hit me. I was sitting still in my car in a traffic jam on I-95, wasn't moving, and a girl drove into my driver's side, going 65, 75 miles an hour. It was bad. I thought I wasn't going to make it, but I did. And I'll tell you, I was in a lot of pain. I didn't know Dr. Appleton then. I don't even know if the laser wave pain treatment with Dr. Appleton was available then, but I was in a lot of pain. Just from the seatbelt, my chest was in so much pain just from the seatbelt, and I'd hurt my leg and everything else. And you know what? Come to think of it, that knee pain I'm suffering from probably was from a car accident that I was in. I bet you it was. that he rid me of. But the laser treatment works on injuries from car accidents. And, you know, a lot of people are getting into car accidents these days in Uber and Lyft rides. Can you imagine you're in an Uber, you're in a Lyft, and there's an accident? Well, some of these guys drive like nuts. Well, anyway, if you're in pain because of an accident, go see Dr. Appleton. Remember, the consultation is free. If you have x-rays, you have scans, bring them with you. It also works on every type of pain I've ever heard of: arthritis, bursitis, work and sports injuries, strains and sprains, repetitive motion injuries, post-surgical swelling, neck and back injuries, knee conditions, tinnitus, sciatica, spinal stenosis, fibromyalgia, plantar fasciitis, rotary tears, herniated disc, acute pain, chronic pain. The list goes on. And pain that you're suffering from accidents, slip and fall, or car accidents. Remember, appointments are not necessary. Even on Saturdays, there's no injections, no drugs, no surgery, no downtime. Give Dr. Appleton a call, 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. That's 954-973-0710. We've had listeners travel from all over America to see Dr. Appleton. His laser treatment works. Online, AppletonCairo.com.
Imagine stepping into your kitchen and it's filled with vibrant vegetables, fragrant spices, and the joy of creating meals that nourish your body and the planet. In the new book, Plant-Powered Plates, Sustainable Plant-Based Pleasures for Every Palate, from author Bain Kalange. Available on Amazon, you'll discover 100 delicious plant-based recipes designed to fuel you with energy and simplify your transition to a balanced vegan lifestyle. From mindful eating and nutrition essentials to a 30-day meal plan, the author is passionate about healthy, sustainable living and has a love for simple, nourishing meals and mindful habits. He wrote Plant-Powered Plates to help others just like you enjoy the benefits of plant-based eating and shares practical, actionable ideas that'll inspire a balanced, thoughtful lifestyle, one plate at a time. Order your copy of Plant-Powered Plates right now on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and Kindle Unlimited. And to embrace life despite its deepest hardships, author Elise K. McKnight shares an extraordinary memoir of survival, resilience, and faith. In her book, Reasons for Living, I Have Been Given Every Reason to Live, available on Amazon. Born and raised in war-torn Zimbabwe, the author's journey began with loss, but through strength, courage, and an unwavering spirit, she transformed adversity into a life of purpose. From childhood struggles to missionary work across Africa, her story is a testament to the power of perseverance and the beauty found in life's most unexpected places. Through heartfelt storytelling, Reasons for Living invites you to reflect on life's challenges and discover meaning beyond their circumstances. This book is also a great addition to your book club. Experience this powerful memoir today and order your copy on Amazon in Kindle and paperback. Reasons for Living, I Have Been Given Every Reason to Live, from author Elise K. McKnight. Life lost hers to addiction. That's what happened to Michelle, the host of the podcast Fitzcapades. Once a successful kidney specialist in Australia, until meth took everything: her career, her family, her home. She hit rock bottom, was homeless, and was doing things no one could ever imagine themselves doing just to survive. She chose life and overcame it all. Now she's rebuilding it, clean, sober, and living in a 3-story house by the beach with her blended family. Fitzcapades isn't about shame or sugarcoating. It's raw, it's honest, it's real recovery. Michelle shares what addiction took, what she regained with her recovery, and why no one is too far gone to find their way back. Whether you're struggling right now, love someone who is, or just want truth that cuts deeper than a soundbite, Fitzcapades is for you. You can find Fitzcapades on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and your favorite podcast app. Listen now, share hope, and choose life. Fitzcapades. Tune in right now. When the sun sets and the world grows quiet, Whispers in the Dark begins. Whispers in the Dark is a horror anthology podcast that crawls beneath your skin and lingers in the shadows. Narrated by the whisperess Crapella, each episode of Whispers in the Dark unveils a new nightmare. Stories of cursed objects, supernatural revenge, toxic family secrets, and chilling urban legends. These aren't just horror stories. They're echoes of something deeper, something waiting. Dare to listen? New episodes drop every week on Spotify. But be warned, some whispers never fade. Whispers in the Dark on Spotify.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. If you're new, make sure you follow and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to us on. The Brian Craig Show podcast is on all podcast platforms. If there's a podcast platform, we are on it, and you can do some binge listening there. And also on YouTube, you get the podcast in video form. Brian Craig Show on YouTube. You get the video form of the podcast, and you get to catch me live on the radio in the mornings, taking live calls, and all the other things I add up there. Brian Craig Show on YouTube, and on all podcast platforms, just search for The Brian Craig Show, and we'll come up. All right. So this was really bizarre today. Tucker was talking about Jennifer Griffin from Fox News, and he dropped something. Listen.
Shouldn't we have a stronger predicate to go into these countries? Yeah. And shouldn't the incurious media be asking questions of these people? But they go along with it because it's part of, I don't know who's feeding them these sort of like deep state talking points that they need to carry on with this. But to me, they're an extension of the Pentagon. I mean, when you have like Fox News has like an office in the Pentagon.
And who works in that office?
I think Jennifer Griffin.
Oh, Jennifer Griffin, yeah.
So you have these people that are literally inside the buildings.
Jennifer Griffin is, even by the standards of Pentagon employees, I guess she's not technically an employee of the Pentagon. She's a shill, obviously, for the deepest of the deep states. But she's like a parody. She's like a parody. It's like the whole thing. She had this amazing tweet yesterday. I guess the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, our former colleague, said something about, referring to the pilots of the B-2s who dropped the bunker busters in Iran, said something like, "Good work, boys." I think something like that. And Jennifer Griffin immediately comes back and goes, "Breaking news. Actually, one of the pilots was a woman. And like, so all of a sudden Fox News is like celebrating the diversity of the bomber pilots.
Okay, so Tucker, he's got some issues there with Jennifer, but what he's talking about there, it goes back to what I was talking about in the first segment. Jennifer Griffin is very Pentagon friendly. That's her beat. So she does become a part of the press wing, the PR wing of the Pentagon, because she wants to be able to get the stories, get the info, have the contacts and everything else. But that's what's going on in the new media that we were talking about. The new media are very concerned with their contacts too. The new media is becoming what the legacy media has been doing. We've got to be careful about that. And there's a lot of, got two ex-Fox guys there, not too happy. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. It's Frank from West Palm. How you doing there?
All right,
Brian,
Frank.
You were absolutely correct. LaPorta Roofing was amazingly phenomenal. They just completed my roof last week, and LaPorta Roofing was superb in all ways imaginable when installing the new roof on my residence. Tom LaPorta meticulously spearheaded the entire project from inception through to the finalization of the assignment. Tom handled all the paperwork involving city permits, inspectors, and my community HOA. He was always available, ensuring me that he had my back in all phases of the project. Additionally, Tom, Scott, and Dan, and the entire crew were very well organized with the plan, consistent with all policies and procedures, and craftsmanship was exemplary in all stages of the design execution. Tom, Scott, and Dan maintained continual contact with me, the homeowner, asking if there were any questions I had or anything further I needed. LaPorta Roofing is, in every respect, a stellar, 5-star, AAA, family-owned company that is a reliable, peace-of-mind roofing organization. These guys are spot on with regards to perfection, and they demand it. I remain mesmerized upon the completion of the job. My roof is a masterpiece. And one last thing before I forget, they were the least expensive quote that I received out of 4 quotes for roofing. I thank Tom LaPorta Roofing for all that they do.
Wow, Frank. Well, thanks so much. Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. He covers both the east and west coast of Florida and everywhere in between. He works with every type of structure, residential, commercial, municipal, and he works with every type of roofing material. Also, don't forget, Tom Laporta will never sell you a roof you do not need. If you need just a simple repair, he'll do it. He can also handle the job of any size, whether it's a single-family home or an HOA with over 200 units. Give him a call. This number rings directly to Tom Laporta's cell phone, 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. And online, LaportaRoofing.com. Frank, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Brian. You have a wonderful day.
I wanted to file this story under just stupid. I saw this on the Blaze. High school teacher canceled for reading To Kill a Mockingbird. And I got to tell you, they don't, I'm surprised To Kill a Mockingbird is even on the approved reading list in public schools at all these days. But the great American classics aren't taught anymore. Yeah, they've been filled with, the 1619 Project stuff. But To Kill a Mockingbird, while the movie's very good, the book, I've tried to read the book a couple times. It never was really for me. But it is a good story and an important book. But what this teacher did was just stupid. He wasn't canceled for reading To Kill a Mockingbird. I mean, that's technically accurate. But what he did, he should have known better. And especially in this day and age, there's certain things that if you do them, there's going to be severe consequences. So you find ways to avoid them, and this is what happened. It says here he read an inappropriate passage in front of the class, and they used the N-word. And what he did when he was reading it, he quoted a passage with the N-word and said it out loud. Okay? That's just stupid. Okay, that's just stupid. He should have known better than... Now, I'm not saying that, classic American literature that has offensive language should not be read, and it shouldn't be in schools. I'm not saying To Kill a Mockingbird doesn't belong in a classroom, but for a white male school teacher to read that passage out loud and say the N-word, he didn't think something was going to happen. Things are so woke now with the cancel culture. A black teacher probably couldn't get away with reading that passage from the book out loud. And, when one of the biggest problems that we have, okay, so far as furthering our agenda, this is a big thing. And Charlie Kirk, this is something Charlie Kirk could solve. We don't have enough conservatives in education. School teachers and administrators, K through 12. College too, but K through 12, whatever, pre-K through 12. And we've as conservatives, we put an emphasis on business, and we want everybody to be business people and professionals, which of course you want. I mean, teachers are professional, so that, it's not like they're not professionals. But we put so much emphasis on business, not for things like becoming school teachers and school administrators, that we really need to start doing that. And if we could get some American thinking teachers and administrators in the public school system, we'd get a better... Now, I'm not saying that it would still be acceptable for a white male teacher to read a passage from a book and say the N-word. I think maybe we passed that era. But To Kill a Mockingbird could still be assigned to students. He didn't have to say the word out loud. He could have said the N-word and everybody would have chuckled because they'd be reading it, and he may have even still got in trouble, but maybe not. I would say the teacher is either stupid or knew what they were doing and trying to create a... It wouldn't surprise me if he's some young hipster teacher with some social media following who did it on purpose to try to go viral. You never know. But you look on Libs of TikTok, on X, and you see these weirdos that are school teachers and administrators today. We need conservatives to become school teachers. And if we start recruiting young conservatives to go to college to become teachers and get master's degrees and become guidance counselors and deans and principals, in 10 years or so, we'd start to see a big change. A lot of focus is made on the school boards, and that's important, but what you have in the classroom and administration is even more important than that. And a lot of this BS that we're dealing with, like the brainwashing of our youth and classic American literature not being taught and anti-Americanism becoming social studies and history as opposed to the real stories and things, that would change if we would make some inroads. Now, CNN, CNN, let me play this clip. This is totally insane. Listen to this.
To Israel stays in place, and that is part of the discussion, right?
Yes, absolutely part of the discussion. And, I remember, Dan, at one point being in Tehran years ago, and they're chanting death to America all around me, even as I say, oh, I'm an American reporting for CNN, and they were happy to speak to me. So that those two is sort of jarring realities of the chant, and yet the friendliness have existed together. But I
okay, now what the hell is she talking about? They're yelling death to America, which means they want to wipe out America, but there's also friendliness with them? And I wonder whether they were yelling death to America in their native language. They speak what in Iran? Farsi? Does she understand Farsi, this reporter? How can you say they're friendly when they're yelling chant to America? See, this is why this guy won the mayor's race primary in New York City. Liberals are stupid. She is a typical liberal, and she's well-educated and in the media, so she's well-informed. Liberals are stupid.
Jarring realities of the chant, and yet the friendliness have existed together. But I am hearing from some in Iran that I have not heard this from before, a sense of deep uncertainty about the future and of what happens next, and also of what the role is of the supreme leader. Now, we've heard that he's 86. We know his...
Okay, now she's getting to some other things with the friendly people chanting death to America. That's what you're dealing with when you deal with liberals. Hold on. We'll get to... Oh, this was great. Hold on.
You daddy earlier. Do you regard your NATO allies as kind of children?
No, he likes me. I think he likes me. If he doesn't, I'll let you know. I'll come back and I'll hit him hard, okay? No, he did it very affectionate. Daddy, you're my daddy.
Do you regard your NATO allies, though, as kind of like children, and they're obviously listening to you and they're spending more, and you're obviously appreciative of that, but do you hope that actually they're going to be able to defend themselves, defend Europe on their own without...
I think they need help a little bit at the beginning. And
from Sky News.
Okay, yeah, that was a pretty good moment, and here's the original little daddy comment.
I mean, we may do papers on it, Marco. Maybe we're going to do papers. I don't even know if you need them. They're not going to be fighting each other. They've had it. They've had a big fight, like two kids in a schoolyard. They fight like hell. You can't stop them. Let them fight for about 2-3 minutes. Then it's easier to stop them.
And then Daddy has to sometimes use strong language.
You have to use strong language. Every once in a while, you have to use a certain word.
Yeah, okay. And, of course, he was talking about Trump dropping the F-bomb before he got on the helicopter to head to Europe for the NATO summit. I know it's kind of funny and cute. It's like the story of the day. Daddy Trump. Remember, Tucker started that. Daddy's coming home and Daddy's pissed. Tucker Carlson started that during the campaign, and he's right. Europe does need a father figure. I mean, they're a mess. They are a mess. And I love what President Trump did today with Spain. So Spain's refusing to pay the proper NATO dues. And nobody ever goes after Spain. They didn't even take part in the Second World War, really. And then what Trump said today in this press conference about Spain, he was asked questions by Spanish reporters, and he said they're going to pay more. We're going to get that money from them in tariffs. So he's going to raise the import taxes on Spain, and they're going to pay more money than they would be paying if they would up what they're supposed to be paying, 5% of the GDP to NATO, like we're doing and these other countries are going to do, okay, that are vowing to do it. And some of them have already done it. And, President Trump, because he's not your regular politician. He sees things like a businessman, and he has totally changed the way politics is done. And these future leaders that we have as presidents in the future are going to have to follow his example, because the American people have a different expectation than they used to have for what they expect of our presidents. And this instead of fighting with Spain, and even though he's going to talk to them about it and said he's going to negotiate with them about it, he's got a solution. He's just going to raise the import taxes, the tariffs on Spanish goods, whatever those are. I don't know what we're getting from Spain these days, but he's going to make them pay for it that way. And what other president would even think of doing that? Would even think of doing it, not to mention do it. Even if they thought about it, would they do it? No, he is serious. And, you know, Spain may dig in their heels and say, we're not going to up our NATO dues, and then he'll raise the tariffs and they'll pay more money just to feel like they stood up to Trump when they're losing in the end. He thinks about things in a different way, and he actually does things. We just, past presidents aren't doers, are they? My name's Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you next time.